Hey you guys, it's me Kiafa. Welcome to my channel, you guys. Welcome back to my Tribers. So I'm about to get my tripod. I should have had it already, but I had no intentions on filming this video. I was sitting here watching a show and on YouTube, and it was more about consciousness and things like that. But I wanted to, what it did, hold on guys, let me get you on the tripod. Hold on, don't be mad at me, hang on. Okay, I'm back. So I was just watching my show, and what I ended up thinking about when I was watching the show is that one of the things that I really enjoyed about being a surgical tech, and it took me a while to kind of like see this, because initially I thought like being a surgical tech, not that it was like patient care, but it was more about the patient, and it is about the patient. It's all about the patient. But a large part of the job is about giving customer service, not only to the patient, but to the doctors. Like, I mean, it's a big team, but a lot of times, like, is the surgical tech, maybe the doc got an assistant, maybe they don't, maybe it's another surgical tech or another doctor, but it's normally like a surgical tech and a doctor, and they really start creating a relationship. The nurse and the doctor create a relationship, everybody create their own relationship, but right now I'm talking about the relationship between a surgical tech and the surgeon that they're working with. Later on in my career, what I ended up realizing was that I was providing a customer service to these doctors, and in order for these are surgeons, like they are very detailed, they're meticulous, they want things a certain way, and not all of them are like, you know, mean and things like that. Some of them, you know, with any person, you got your good and your bad, but for the most part, because of the jobs that they have, their career, you know, they have people's lives in their hands, and so you are working with them normally. So as the surgical tech, like the patient is asleep, I probably really spend totally, when I'm in the operating room, maybe a total of 15 to 20 minutes with the patient awake, and that's the patient rolling in the room. You know, normally the nurse will introduce the patient to, you know, everybody in the room and let them know who is there and what their role is, and then the patient will go from the gurney to the operating room bed. The gurney goes out, then the anesthesia process begins, where they start putting the patient to sleep with the nurse, the doctor, the surgical tech, they doing the timeout, and the surgeon, anesthesia, and anybody that, like, if they scrub it in, they all are present for the timeout. Okay, so boom, you got the timeout, patient sleep. This probably depending on like how long, if the doctor is like right in the lounge or ready, you know, this may take about between 5 to 15 minutes, because sometimes, you know, it just take a little bit longer to get everybody in place. But once you got everybody in place, the patient is asleep, and then the procedure begins. The procedure is the longest part of the case. So when I think about the OR, I don't like, yeah, patient care comes kind of with it, but that's like a byproduct, kind of, not to downplay it, because that's not it, but the majority of my case, of the case as a surgical tech, is not giving patient care in the sense of, you know, you taking care of a physical live person. Like, the person is alive, but they're asleep. So a physically awake person, let me say it like that, not that they're not alive, because they are awake or they're asleep, but you spend a lot of time with the physician and communicating with them, as well as your nurse, but it's a very close quarter sometimes with you and the doc. And so sometimes it'll be conversations had that, you know, the circulator and the anesthesia provider really can't hear. And if the doc, let's just say they have to ask you for everything, and the first couple of times, yeah, that's fine, you know, y'all getting to know each other, it's like a dance. And once you learn this procedure, if you don't already know it, if you're familiar with the procedure, that helps. But once you get the procedure down, then you get the doctor, their detailed way of doing it, which sometimes they have it on surgeon preference cards, that's what they're for. But not always, because it's different working with the doctor and then actually somebody like writing in a preference card, you know, he like you to hand it like this, unless he's one of those, like he or she is a physician that is super, you know, particular. And sometimes for the super particular ones, like they will write certain things, but for the most part, this is something that you're just gonna have to learn as you are in the procedure, learning this procedure with this physician. And so you have to not only know your job, but you have to be able to do it with the type of customer service for a doctor. Now, if you work in sales or has ever worked in sales, working with physicians when they have like so much education and they haven't been exposed to so much, you know, it can be intimidating at times. But if you can do your job, and like if you understand, like as a surgical tech, my job is to make sure that this physician can perform to the best of my job is to lift this person up as much as I can. Not that it's like your only job, but that's what a surgical tech really does. Like if you sit back and you say, okay, well, I'm just gonna wait for them to ask for a specific instrument or whatever, and you know, that's fine, but think about how much energy it requires for you to think of what you need, to translate it to your mouth and say it and to communicate it with another person. But if you are a observant person and you watching as the procedure going, sometimes words don't even have to really be exchanged, and that's where really like the customer service come in. And I know like it sounds crazy to say like customer service because you're paying attention, but it is. Like if you got a person coming, a doc coming at your facility, and let's just say you like working with them, because this is the thing, in certain circumstances you might not have this kind of like issue, but let's just say if the doctor like coming or don't like coming to the facility, or they're new at the facility and they come, and then for one, they might end up with a different person every time. So now they got to teach, you know, everybody their technique and their way, on top of whatever stresses, you know, they got going on just from being the doctor, you know. And then you have the part where it's like, if you could come in and just pick it up and just pay attention and already know, like if you know what's in your tray and you know what's going on and you understand the different layers of the tissue, then you could just provide so much more assistance. And I was just sitting here thinking like how when you like if you really want to provide like some really good customer service as a surgical tech, just kind of think of it as not only you providing customer service to your patient, but you providing it to the doc as well. And then you would just I feel like you would be a better surgical tech if that's something that you know are going for. Okay, you guys, so I didn't get a chance to come back and close out the video, but I did just want to come and just tell you guys that was just a few things that I was thinking of on how you can be a better surgical tech if that's just something that you want to do. I'm not sure if you guys see being a surgical tech that way, but that's just the way that I see it. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.